level of government to manage the better before turning to taxpayers for more revenue. At the City of Chicago, we have a history of putting a priority on better management first. So does the Board of Education. As a result, and because of many of our students continue to show progress from year to year, Chicago's property tax area has been willing to support our school improvements each year, going back when I took over in 1995. But we all know that times are tough, getting very, very challenging. Taxpayers throughout the city and across the nation, especially our working families and those who live in poverty. Many families across Illinois, across the country, are struggling to make ends meet. Many are being forced to choose between paying their mortgages, the cost of higher gas, and paying for other basics in life, as well as food. Businesses are being forced to lay off workers, raise their prices, even as consumer spending slows down, and it's been slowing down. Because people are struggling during these tough and difficult economic times, at the city, we will continue to take new steps to cut spending through better management before we announce our 2009 budget. With that same commitment in mind, earlier this year I challenged our leaders at Chicago Public Schools and the Board of Education to better manage our schools, maintain their commitment to classroom learning before they consider raising property taxes in the 2009 budget. In the last several months, they've considered their options, as Springfield was debating how much additional funding to provide them. Although Springfield did not provide all the funding they requested, it did provide $98 million in additional revenue this year, which is better than nothing. To their credit, now that we know the level of funding they're receiving in Springfield, our school leaders have to come back to me and said that they understand that the families, and especially Chicago homeowners, are struggling to make ends meet. They have said that they can manage the system better, continue to invest in classroom learning without raising property taxes in the budget this year. Bottom line, even though they didn't receive all they requested from Springfield, they have prepared a budget which doesn't raise property taxes next year, but still makes the important investment that are needed to keep our students' progress going. In a few minutes, Arnie Duncan will lay out the plan. Does this plan mean that we'll be able to expand all the programs we'd like to next year? No. Like every student and parent, I hope we'll be able to do more next year. But Chicago taxpayers have been very, very generous, better than the federal and state government. Supported our school improvements, and they deserve a break. Foregoing a property tax increase in next year's budget does not take the pressure off of Springfield to fundamentally reform the way education is funded in Illinois. In fact, as Arnie Duncan will review in a moment, the school system will be cutting into its reserve funds even further next year, which only increases the need for greater funding and fundamental reform in Springfield in the years ahead. As we move forward, I hope it's clear that we continue to put a priority on better management before consideration of new revenues. Just as I asked the Board of Education of better management, I've asked the Chicago Transit Authority, Chicago Park District, city colleges, as well as the city of Chicago to do the same. Now I'd like to have Arnie Duncan. Arnie?
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to thank Hill and Page on Beth for doing extraordinary work during a very, very tough budget time. I put our team against any other budget team across the country. Every year, Mayor Daley challenges us to be as efficient as possible so that we can get every available dollar into the classroom. And our financial team has worked extraordinarily hard every year to do just that. Over the past 5 years, we've reduced our administrative expenses from 6.2% to 4.4% of our total budget. That's freed up tens of millions of dollars to be spent in schools and on students. We've also received consistent upgrades from the major bond rating agencies, and that's critically important. And that's been a testament to our financial stability and saves our taxpayers money through lower interest rates. And through solid management and smart investments, we've built out the strong reserve fund year after year. That's all been accomplished with inadequate and uncertain funding from the state. But we've been very fortunate to have the extraordinary support and leadership of Mayor Daley, who has made education the city's top priority and who will not allow us to shortchange our children. This year, our proposed budget includes a strong investments in key programs that are driving the improvements we're seeing across the city. And we're very, very pleased that we're on a remarkable winning streak that's being watched by school systems around the country. We've had 6 years of increasing test scores, more and more students are graduating, more and more students are going out to college, and fewer are dropping out. That sense of momentum cannot stop. And because of Mayor Daley's strong accountability and our budget team's solid management, the proposed budget does not include a property tax increase, as the mayor said. As the mayor pointed out, the economy is hitting everybody hard. A tax increase is always a last resort, for balancing our budget. Today, we know people are hurting. They're having a hard time making ends meet, and we refuse to add to that burden. Chicago's property taxpayers have been extraordinarily supportive of us, and we appreciate that tremendous support. This year, they simply need a break. We will not raise taxes. It would have been the wrong thing to do it at this time. And I'm pleased to be able to say that help will come immediately. Tax bills this fall will not include an increase for schools. The day-to-day work of making tough budget choices and building a solid foundation has allowed us to rise to Mayor Daley's challenge and avoid a property tax increase. So here's how we propose to close the $97 million budget gap that we were left facing after the state revenue came in. We will take an additional $50 million from our reserve fund. That's on top of the $50 million draw that we had planned in putting our initial budget projections. That's a total of $100 million coming out of reserves. We also pushed back the sale of our capital bonds from this fall to next June, which takes approximately $35 million in debt service payments out of this year's proposed budget. We will get an additional $12 million in savings through central office and operational efficiencies that will not impact the classroom. But the most important numbers in our proposed budget are the investments that we're still able to make in our schools and the programs that we know are making a difference in the lives of our students. There's $16 million for the expansion of our high school transformation initiative, which is trying to dramatically strengthen the curriculum in our neighborhood high schools, improving instruction, and making sure students are preparing to succeed in college and their careers. There's a $6.6 million we've already spent for our Freshman Connection program, the first time ever this summer, which is wrapping up this week, that brought 15,000 incoming freshmen into their high schools a month early to help create a smooth transition into high schools. There's $6 million for our literacy initiative, which has been the driving force behind our strong and steady test score gains that have significantly outpaced the rest of the state. There's $7 million for turning around underperforming schools and giving those students and their families a dramatically better educational option, not tomorrow, but now. There's $3 million for expanding opportunities for students, more evening school, more summer school. We hope to do Saturday schools as well this fall. And there's a minimum of $1 million in our key language programs, Chinese, Arabic, and Russian, which are critically important to helping our students compete in the global marketplace. We are leading the nation in these areas, and we have to continue to invest and expand. These are the bottom line figures that Mayor Daley and our Board of Education demand from our schools. And I'm pleased that we've been able to build on the solid financial foundation that has allowed us to continue to invest in these strategies, especially given our state's dismal funding record and its failure to make not just Chicago's children, but the state's children a priority. And let me be absolutely clear, we cannot continue down this path, as the mayor said. I think we have a great budget team, who've done a phenomenal job, but they are not miracle workers. We cannot continue to take $100 million from our reserve fund year after year. It is impossible. Going much deeper than what we're doing this year can jeopardize both our financial security and the solid standing we've worked so hard to secure with the rating agencies. Given the lack of capital money, zero capital money from states for 5 years, obviously we have to go out and borrow money every year just to maintain our buildings. As Mayor Daley has said repeatedly, the state needs to make education a priority and invest in our schools. We need political courage and leadership in Springfield. And finally, we need a sustained funding system that lightens the property tax burden and levels the playing field. We cannot continue to go begging hat in hand every year to Springfield without the long-term financial plan and stability so many other states and therefore so many other school districts enjoy. That would allow us to do more strategic long-range planning. It would allow us to further expand those programs that we know are making a difference in the lives of our students. It would allow them to get ready for the world of work and to go on to college. That's what the mayor's fighting for. That's what we're fighting for. That's what our principals, teachers, students, and parents are fighting for, and they deserve that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
What is your reserve going to go down to?
Our reserve is going to go down to, we were at about $480 million, and we built that up systemically year after year. It's going to take it down to $380 million.
And
when was the last time you had to go into the reserve?
We've never dipped anywhere near this severely, and we were planning to take 50. We've taken 100 out, and again, we cannot do that year after year and maintain our great credit rating with the rating agencies.
Are you certain that you won't already jeopardize it by doing it?
We are certain, and we've had great relationships. We've talked to them. They understand exactly where we're at, and again, our ratings have prove year after year after year, and they have a lot of confidence in what we're doing.
One of the issues is, of course,